What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So with early signing day basically over now, I am ready to do my rankings of how well each Power 5 team has done in recruiting up to this point, with this video being focused on the Big 10. I've already made one on the SEC, so if you're interested in that, be sure to go check that out as well. Now, before we get into the actual rankings of the Big 10 Conference, let me just explain how I will be ranking these teams. This is not just a who has the highest rated recruiting class type of video. That would be pointless. You guys can all just go Google that information. Why would I do that? No, this will be considering each team's situation, if they've had a head coaching change, how they do on the field, or how they've done on the field this year and in years past, how they normally recruit, just a bunch of other external factors that really gives you a more accurate representation of how good a team and a program is doing in recruiting, considering who they are and what they have to work with. Also, these rankings will include the transfer portal to some extent, so keep that in mind. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into number 14. And so at number 14, I have Nebraska. They are the 14th ranked class in the conference, and number 57 ranked class nationally. They're last in the conference, and that is really, there's no excuse for that at this point in Scott Frost's tenure. He's been there for years now. He's been very disappointing on the field. He's been very disappointing off the field with recruiting. You need better from a multi-year head coach at this point than last in your conference, especially at a program like Nebraska. It's not like they're a bad program by Big Ten standards. They're a good program by national standards, by Big Ten standards. Having them at the last ranked class in the conference and 57th ranked nationally, not to mention they lost Adrian Martinez to the portal, and I don't know how well they're going to be able to leverage the portal going forward. Last year they lost Wan'Dale Robinson to the portal. We'll have to see how that works out for them. As far as where they sit right now, though, just super disappointing all the way around, on the field, off the field. It's just a tough time to be a Nebraska fan. Now, at number 13, we have Northwestern. They're the number 13 class in the conference, the number 47 ranked class nationally. And it wasn't long ago they were in the Big Ten championship game. Just in 2020, they made it to the Big Ten championship, and yet they have no recruiting momentum to go from that. As well as they did on field, nothing came from it in the long run. They've had a terrible year on the field. They've got a seasoned head coach who's consistently praised as one of the best head coaches in the conference and in America, and yet they don't have anything to show for it in the recruiting world. 13th in the conference is not good enough for a team that just made the Big Ten championship. 47th nationally is also not good enough. I would have expected them to build up some recruiting momentum by now. It's honestly just pretty disappointing considering what they did on the field in recent years, and I think you're starting to see it catch up with them. This past year was pretty bad, and if they don't get this turned around in the recruiting world, it's probably going to continue to go in that direction over the next few years. All right, at number 12, I have Wisconsin. They have the number 11 ranked class in the conference, number 44 ranked class in the nation, and to me, this is just not a good enough class for them to compete for a Big Ten title, which should be the expectation at Wisconsin. At least I would think that that is the expectation at Wisconsin. I'm not super plugged into that program, but it seems like that would be the goal and the expectation there. They've had good on-the-field results in recent years. This year, not as much. They've been very up and down this year, very hard to predict and read. But over the past few years, they've been a consistent contender in the Big Ten. They've had some really good teams, and I just don't understand why they can't translate that into recruiting at this point. I expected them to be a lot higher than this. I was kind of shocked when I saw them this low. Really just kind of a disappointing looking class for Wisconsin as a whole. It'll probably do good enough to keep them at around the level they're at this past year and around the level of like a mid-tier Big Ten team, just because of how well they tend to coach on field, but it's not going to be good enough to get them to compete with the Penn States, the Michigan States, the Michigans, and the Ohio States of the world. Just not good enough from Wisconsin. At number 11, I have Minnesota. They have the number 10 ranked class in the conference, the number 43 ranked class in the nation. It's not a bad class for Minnesota overall, but given the on-field success they've had under PJ Fleck, I would expect a more successful signing class than this. I mean, on the field has started to dip some over the past two seasons after that magical season they had a few years back, But I mean, not to this extent, I didn't think, at least. And if recruiting stays at this level, it'll likely continue to have on-field success dropping down a little bit. 10th in the conference is not very good. It just isn't. 43rd in the nation is also not very good. It's not abysmal. I mean, Minnesota is not like a traditional powerhouse or anything. But PJ Fleck had them kind of going in the right direction for a while. It seems like they're starting to sputter out and struggle, though. And that's just kind of disappointing for me to see, and that is why I have them all the way at number 11. Then at number 10, I have Illinois. They are the number 12 class in the conference and the number 45 class nationally. And it's not a super impressive class just looking at the class as it is. But when you consider where they are as a program, they have Brett Bielema as a new head coach. I mean, it makes it a pretty decent class. Illinois is not a powerhouse program by any stretch of the imagination in the Big Ten. They're normally towards the very bottom of the pack, and they are still, again. But getting them up to number 12, recruiting at a higher level than Northwestern and Nebraska, is honestly pretty impressive for me, especially when, like I said, you consider they have Brett Bielema, who's new to the program. At this point, they pulled off a few upsets on the field. Maybe they can carry that into some momentum next year. Again, not a super impressive class for me overall, but I just think they've earned their way up to number 10 above the teams below them because they're doing a little bit better than they should be, while I think the teams below them are doing a little bit worse than they should be. And so, yeah, Illinois at number 10. Number 9, I have Purdue. They have the number 9th ranked class in the conference, the number 39th ranked class nationally. And this is, it's a decent class for Purdue. It's not a great class. It's not a bad class. It's just a solid class for them. I would like to see them take that next step in recruiting to become a more consistent level contender, to where instead of just occasionally upsetting Michigan State or upsetting Ohio State like they did a few years back, they can actually start to win with some consistency. But, this isn't going to get them there, but this is also not going to bring them down as a program either. It's going to keep them about where they are. And, overall, it's not bad. Considering who they are as a program, nobody expects them to be dominant. This is just a decent, overall, solid Purdue recruiting class, and so I've got them at number 9. All right, at number 8, I have Maryland. They are the number 8 class in the conference and the number 28th class nationally. This is a pretty good class for them after how pretty poorly they did on the field this season, which is kind of a trend at this point. I would like them to do a little bit better if they want to truly compete at a high level in the conference. But they still will, every class, they'll pull 1 or 2 or sometimes even 3 elite level prospects every year. I still remember they flipped the wide receiver from LSU a few years back, Raheem Jarrett, I believe it was. And, that's kind of what they do. They tend to do pretty well in recruiting, bring in a few blue chips, but the on-the-field performance has been lagging. And, just a decent class for Maryland, about where you'd expect them to be. Pretty solid, nothing crazy. Got Maryland at number 8. At number 7, I have the Iowa Hawkeyes. They are the number 6 class in the conference, the number 26 class in the nation. For as good as Iowa tends to be on field, I would like to start to see them put some more production together on signing days, because I feel like their talent level really kind of caps where they can be as a program. I mean, their defense has been outstanding this year, but their offense is just not very good, and that tends to be a consistent problem for them. I feel like they just don't have the elite level athletes to compete with the top end competition that they're going to face, like the Michigans and the Ohio States and all, at least not consistently, not at a consistent level, unless they up their recruiting a little bit more. Still, though, this is a pretty good class for them overall. 6th in the conference, 26th in the nation is solid. They picked up Xavier Nwankpa. I hope I said that right. I don't know how to say his name, but he is a very good safety. A lot of people thought he was going to go to Ohio State for a while. And so for Iowa to get him, that's a pretty big pickup. They didn't have the fastest start to their class either. They finished out pretty strong, though. So pretty decent class from Iowa. Has them at number 7 for me. Now at number 6, I have Rutgers. They are the number 7th class in the conference and the number 27 class in the nation. This is a really good class for them as a program. I mean, they have had some amount of decent on-field success relative to what they have traditionally been at Rutgers under Greg Schiano. But really nothing crazy, and yet they turn in a number 27 class in the nation, number 7 class in the conference, recruiting at essentially the exact same level as a team like Iowa. That's really impressive to me. Schiano's done a really good job both on the field and off the field with recruiting so far. And honestly, Rutgers, to me at least, has no business being this high. as where they are as a program. But if they can get up there, that's great for them. Hopefully that'll start turning into some more on-field success for them, and maybe they can start to climb the ranks into a mid-tier or to an upper mid-tier Big Ten program there. So a very good class for Rutgers, very impressed with them. Have them all the way up at number 6. For number 5, I have Indiana, and they had a really strong class as well, similar to Rutgers. They're the number 4 class in the conference, number 20 class nationally. Really outstanding class considering I think they were a 2-win program this year on the field. To put together a top 20 class in the country when you win 2 games is really hard to do. It's very impressive. If they can keep that kind of momentum going, ideally you could hope to see them move up a little bit in the Big Ten hierarchy, at least not have seasons like this where they win 2 games. I mean, they were projected to do a lot better than 2 wins, and in years prior they had done better than 2 wins. I think it was kind of a fluky year for them on the field. Hopefully they can continue to recruit at this level, and that'll continue to just raise that program up a little bit. Very impressive class for Indiana, trying to get up there and fight with the big boys a little bit in the Big Ten. So we'll see how that ends up shaking out for them long term, but that is why I have Indiana at number 5. Then at number 4, we have Michigan State. They have the number 5 class in the conference, the number 21 class in the nation. But if you couple this class with how consistently well they perform in the transfer portal with Mel Tucker, then this class becomes pretty impressive. I mean, again, they haven't done much yet in the portal, and I know this is a ranking of where they are now, but you do have to expect they're going to hit the portal pretty hard. They've made some moves in the portal already. They have a chance to string together multiple successful seasons if they can keep up this level of recruiting. I mean, it wasn't long ago that 21st in the nation for Michigan State was a huge accomplishment. Now people are like, I kind of would like to see him a little higher than that, which to me is just a testament to how well Mel Tucker has done. He's absolutely sort of changed the face of the program overnight. And I think because of that, I've got him boosted just a little bit up above Indiana. Have him at number 4. Really good class for them. Like to see how they build off of it going forward. Although expectations are rising, and so maybe in the future 21st nationally won't be enough to get them this high. But for now, we have Michigan State at number 4. At number 3, I have Penn State. They are the number 2 class in the conference and the number 6 class in the nation. To me, this is a ridiculously underrated class. It's getting almost no attention nationally, which makes no sense to me, to be the number 6 class in the nation and get almost no attention. They had most of their class locked up pretty early on. They have some massive offensive playmakers in this class, particularly at quarterback. They have a true legit 5-star quarterback now. They've got 2 elite-level running backs in this class. They've got some good receivers in this class. Huge offensive focus for them, which I think will help them be more explosive, make more plays down the stretch in these big games. That'll help them hopefully start to bridge the gap that they've had between them and the Ohio States, Michigans, Michigan State. Well, not really Michigan State, but the Ohio States and the Michigans of the world, who they've been really competitive with, but they haven't been able to consistently beat, and they haven't been able to win a conference under Franklin yet. You turn this into some more on-field success, you continue to recruit at this kind of level, I think Penn State could be going even further up than they currently are in the Big Ten right now, might be able to start contending at that top level truly, instead of being kind of like, the 1A that they are right now. Overall, though, great class. Think it should get more attention than it does. Really well done from James Franklin and Penn State. That's why I have them all the way up at number 3. And now for number 2, and this one may be controversial, but I have Ohio State at number 2. They have the number 1 class in the conference and the number 4 class in the nation. And it's another dominant class for Ohio State. I mean, what else is there to say? There's nothing new here. It's an outstanding class. They're going to continue to be the best recruiters in the conference, especially if they keep this kind of stuff up. But this class really just isn't anything amazing by Ohio State standards. If you see my SEC video, you know I sort of did the same thing with Georgia and Alabama, in that this is what we expect at this point from Ohio State. We expect to see number 1 class in the conference, top 5 class in the nation. And so doing that doesn't necessarily by itself, impress me too much, because this is what they're supposed to do. It's still amazing. It's still a great job from them, but it just is what they're supposed to do at this point. There's a small weakness at DB in this class, but I don't think that's really much of a concern. Some Ohio State fans are kind of freaking out about it. They're going to be fine. There's a lot more room to go down the line in the portal, in the late signing day period. They're going to be okay. Overall, just another year of elite recruiting for them, which is just expected at this point. and I think that's why they're at number 2 for me. And now for number 1, that just leaves Michigan, who have the number 3 ranked class in the conference, the number 9 ranked class in the nation. In my opinion, this is also a very underrated class, and it just shows me Michigan is really, really capitalizing off of the on-field success they put together this year, finishing this class incredibly strong on signing day, keeping up on-field momentum. You pick up a guy like Keon Sabbs, a huge get for them, and you finally get over the hump, beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten, and you turn that into a really, really good recruiting class. I think it's a sign of things to come if they can continue to do this stuff. They start stacking classes on top of each other. All of a sudden, Michigan could really start to push back in the Big Ten, and as far as they're concerned, hopefully make these Big Ten championships a little bit more normal, a little bit more routine for them. But honestly, just a really outstanding class for them all the way around. I think it's a very deep class, very balanced class. I think it's going to complement their current team very well, and really, to me, what puts it up above Ohio State and above Penn State, it's just striking while the iron is hot. Michigan had a lot of negative press around the program recently with all the questions about Harbaugh, are they ever going to beat an elite team. They get over that hump this year, and then they just, boom, as soon as they do that, they also hit a top 10 class nationally. Really good, really important for college football teams to strike while they have the momentum behind them, and that's exactly what Michigan's done. And to me, that is why they are the number 1 class in the Big Ten this year at early signing day. Anyway, that will wrap up the list for the Big Ten. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below where you agree with me, where you disagree with me on this list. Let me know which overall classes and which players in those classes you're most excited to see in college football next year and in the years to come. If you've made it this far in the video, go ahead, drop a like. I mean, you made it this far, you might as well at this point. Subscribe to the channel for more college football content like this. In the future, I'm going to have more early signing day content. One video like this for every Power 5 conference. I'm going to have a lot more playoff content to come, and just a lot more college football content in general coming up in the future. Also, it just really helps me out a lot, helps the channel grow, and I'd really appreciate it. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.